My name is Joe Belfiore. I'm here from the Windows team to give you a quick look at what's up with Windows 10. I'm going to take you through some of the way that we're focused on enterprise value, and then I'm going to do a few demos as well. First, let me just comment that the way that we're rolling out Windows 10 is a little different than we've done with Windows in the past. We're getting builds out early. We're talking to all of you early because we really want to emphasize a collaborative development process where we hear feedback from you, where there's an opportunity to factor it back into the product, where you get a chance to see what we're building, and we get to an end result that we know will work well for all our customers and partners. And today I'm going to focus on enterprise. This first phase of Windows 10 engagement is really aimed at an enterprise audience because we know that all of you need time to look at bits, and we want time to hear what your comments are and adjust as we go along. I'm going to go through 4 things about our enterprise focus in Windows 10. The first is Windows 10 delivers a single platform across a very wide range of devices so that ISV investments, OEM investments, your investments will apply to the largest volume of stuff. Second, we're focused on building a product that end users will love to use. And we think this is super important within enterprises because all of you have customers of your own within your own companies that you want to satisfy, and we're going to help you do that on a very wide range of hardware. We want to make Windows 10 great at providing protection against modern security threats. And then last, we want a platform that for all of you gives you a way to manage all of your devices in a form of continuous innovation that makes sense for your business and for the devices you're managing. So I'm going to go through all of these 4 things and throw in some demos and walkthroughs as we go. First, with Windows 10, a key technology pillar for us is building a single platform technology that's used across a wide range of devices. Everything from small sensors that count the number of people moving through a subway station or measure the performance of a jet engine, up through phones, tablets, 2-in-1 devices, laptops, desktop PCs, the Xbox One, and even giant conference room computing devices. By having a common core, and by that we mean the networking stack, the file system, the kernel, device driver interfaces, and the ISV platform, by having that common core, everybody's investments in the ecosystem are leveraged and the most volume is brought to bear. That benefits everyone. That means as you develop line of business applications, you can use the new platform to target the widest range of devices and leverage your investment. It also means that the ecosystem grows, and when the volume is large, we'll see broad ISV engagement, which brings great apps to bear across the platform. So this is a key part of the Windows 10 value proposition, and for those of you who follow us closely, you know this is not brand new. We've been doing this work for a few years, and already today, Windows 8.1 and Windows Phone 8.1 share a common core, and they have a highly common ISV development platform, which we're just now starting to see apps show up that target both as the volumes of those 8.1 versions of the product grow. So that's the first thing. Definitely an important part of the value proposition of Windows 10 for the enterprise, but also broadly for our ecosystem. The second thing I want to talk about that's massive benefit for all of you and your companies in Windows 10 is our focus on building a product that regular human users will love. And this is an interesting topic, especially as you look at the recent history of Windows. We rolled out Windows 8, and Windows 8 has some mixed customer satisfaction. On devices where its UI was designed deeply for those devices, touch-first devices, customer satisfaction on Windows 8 is higher than Windows 7. However, on your classic mouse keyboard devices, customer satisfaction on Windows 8 not as high as Windows 7. With Windows 10, our aim is to fix that. We're working on the user interface, a core user interface that elegantly can target all these devices, including 2-in-1s that flex, and I'm going to show you some details on that. And right now, we're focused on that core experience and really getting feedback from people who are using it, adjusting as we go. And I'm going to show you a couple new features. In fact, with that, let me just move back here and jump right into a demo. So what I have here, if we can switch over to the demo machine, is a PC running the earlier build of our Windows Technical Preview. And if you're an insider, you actually have later bits than this, and I'm going to jump to that machine in a second. And the first thing I want to really focus on is that large volume of Windows 7 users on classic laptops and desktops that probably don't have touch but might. And I want to talk about the mouse and keyboard user experience. Of course, this looks familiar with the desktop and the taskbar down here. And of course, if I click the start button, I get a familiar start menu. Because in this mode, we're optimized for mouse and keyboard. And this is the UI metaphor that literally hundreds of millions of people are familiar with. So over here, I have a tile for signing in and signing out, my power button, any apps or things that I've pinned. Here's the system most used list. All of these things totally familiar to a Windows 7 user. Similarly, if I open the start menu and just start typing, I can type EX right up at the top. The UI works exactly the same as Windows 7, so muscle memory comes into play. You could type EX and hit Enter to get File Explorer. I can type EXP, E, and watch as it changes because I'm using an expenses app frequently, and that's what I'll get right at the top of the list. Now, this provides extreme familiarity, but we're trying to do this in a way that's elegant and adds user value. So today in Windows 7, you get apps and settings. In Windows 10, you'll get web searches as well, as you see in the bottom here. We're expanding the functionality generally. The other thing that we're really trying to do is present in a familiar UI lots of additional new value. And so far in our process, we're only talking about that with regards to the core experience. And there's more cool features we'll be talking about later. But in this specific example, of course, the most visual thing you see is the addition of live tiles to the start menu construct. So here I have the familiar stuff that I would have had in Windows 7, and here I get some of the value that people are familiar with in Windows 8, but in a UI metaphor that's familiar. I have a mail tile here, and if I want to customize this, there's lots and lots of flexibility that makes it possible for users to set up the start menu the way they'd like. I can make that tile big. I can grab Facebook and drag it over here and attach it as well. Then I can take my start menu and stretch the whole thing up to make it nice and tall so it reflects the set of things that I care about as a user, makes my Windows system more personal, and makes me more productive and just enjoying my experience in general. So if you take that idea, here I showed live tiles and adding live tiles to the start menu, and expand your thinking about the principle that there's lots of great value in Windows 8 that we want to deliver in a UI that's familiar to Windows 7 users. Live tiles are one example, but one of the biggest Windows 8 innovations is the new Windows app platform, the Store app platform, that enables things like sandboxed apps. It enables apps to be auto-updated through the store. It enables things like payments and commerce. Lots of great stuff that today isn't being used as widely as all of us would like because those apps behave so differently than regular apps. Well, in Windows 10, we're going to address that as well. And one subtle thing that sort of outlines this is right here in the start menu, we're blending new store apps like the reading list with classic Win32 apps like the command prompt and file explorer. A user does not need to know the difference. When I launch apps, they just behave like apps. So as an example, I'll open the Mail app, which written as a store app, today runs only full screen and classically has run in a separate environment, something that was confusing to users, but something that we're addressing here in Windows 10. So of course I could minimize this, but in Windows 10 as well, I can take the app and restore it. So I can grab this, make it a window, and you see one of the things that's nice about the app platform, the new app platform, is that it's designed to take good advantage of different screen sizes. And what we've done is blend the benefits of that app platform with familiar UI for the hundreds of millions of people who are already out there and using Windows 7 or Windows 8. And a good illustration of this is a feature that Windows 7 power users or intermediate users know, which is snap mode. So I can grab this Mail app, for example, and snap it over to the side of the screen. It shows up there. I can set it up. And I can also do that in a way that blends my Win32 apps as well. So here I'm going to grab the Win32 version of OneNote, and I'll move over here and snap that right in there next to the modern Mail Store app. The point is, whether you, as a line of business developer or a third-party ISV, if Win32 makes sense for you to write an app in, great. If the modern store platform makes sense to write an app in, great. The user doesn't need to know the difference. Those technology decisions are independent of the UI. The system just works the way you'd expect based on the input devices you have at hand. Now, I want to sort of evolve this conversation beyond showing you just the basics of the Windows 10 UI and talk a little bit more about power users, which I know all of you are. When we did our September event to unveil this, one of the things I demoed was the command prompt. And that was unusual for me, but I think you are an audience that will appreciate some new features in the command prompt as illustrative of the broad ways in which we're thinking about our Windows users and delighting them, even if they're using something as old as a command prompt. So for my quick command prompt demo, I'm going to go in here to this mail message where somebody in my team has sent me a directory, and I'm having trouble with getting these shell scripts to work. And so what I'm going to do, what he wants me to do, is send him a dir listing from that directory. So I can go into my command prompt, and I know the cd command, but now I can just press Control-V without thinking or without setting up. Oh, yes. Let's hear it. I felt the same way about this when I saw that, too. So I hit Control-V to paste. I didn't have to go to some crazy menu or set up some funny defaults. Now I'm in this directory. I can do my dir. And now here's another good one. All of you, I think, have muscle memory wired into your brain. If you want to select words while your hands are on the keyboard, what do you hold down? Control and left arrow and shift. So here, I can do that as well. I'm going to hold down Control and left arrow. I can go up arrow. And there I can quickly and easily select the text I want. Hit Control-C to copy it. No need to go into a funny menu. Go back to my mail here and just paste. And voila, I've got a directory listing that I'm sending. So the point is, we're trying to think about a great PC experience for all of the Windows users and customers out there, scaling from novices up through intermediate to even people that are using the command prompt and doing more advanced things, which I want to show you some other new features of. I'm going to flip down here and show you the task view, which is new in Windows 10. And this is a good example of a feature that scales. If you're a beginning user, there's now a discoverable button right there on the taskbar that lets you see an overview of all the apps you have running. So if you want to get rid of the Send to OneNote app, you can open it up and click Close. Or I want to get rid of that command prompt, I'll open it up and click Close. Simple. This task view also starts to make novice users and early intermediate users more powerful and more productive with Windows because it adds a feature here like multiple desktops. So down here, I can switch over. Whoops. I can switch over to a secondary desktop. And in this case, I've got a bunch of apps running. And actually, I'm going to switch over here where you'll see that's a little bug. Here I had this system set up for doing expense reporting. So I've got my Win32 Excel and I've got my Dynamics Modern App. And if I want to flip between my trip planning and my expense reporting, I can do that super quickly and easily by using discoverable UI elements as I'm scaling up my productivity. But for power users, this gets even better. I could switch over here, and I want to show you an example of a situation where I want to do a bunch of snapping. So I'm going to work on a PowerPoint presentation, and to do that, imagine I've got a really big display, like these enormous displays, so large that I can see 4 windows up. I'm taking advantage of great modern hardware. Well, I can snap PowerPoint over here, and Snap Assist tells me what the other windows are that are available on that desktop. And because I'm going to go from Word to PowerPoint, creating my presentation, I'll just click Word, and now I have those tiled up. But if I'm an advanced user and I want to use the screen real estate even more efficiently, I can pull Word to the corner and then tile up with IE, and then I can pull PowerPoint to the corner and tile up with my file browser, and quickly and easily set my desktop up for maximum productivity on my PowerPoint viewing. And then Task View lets me switch between all these tasks in a way that's convenient and really elegantly scales up my ability to get stuff done on Windows. Now, all of that stuff we have shown before, and if you are an insider that's running our builds, you're already playing around with that. But I want to show you 2 more power user features that will be coming in the next flight of our Windows Insider program. So if you're not signed up, you should sign up now, and you'll get to try these 2. So let's switch over here to our second machine. Now, this machine is running a newer build of the Windows Tech Preview. And what we have it set up here as a multiple monitor display. And actually, this is terrific timing. This morning I was on Twitter and I posted a shot of the room and mentioned I was doing this demo. And somebody named Kevin tweeted back at me and asked a question, and I replied, no, I'm not going to do a phone demo. I'm going to talk about Windows 10, and are you an insider? And Kevin replied, yes, I am. I'm running the Windows 10 Tech Preview with 4 displays. I bet a lot of you are multi-mon users. And if you've been a multi-mon user for a long time, you know that some of the things that you have muscle memory in Windows 7 don't quite work the way you expect in multi-mon. Well, I want to show you, we're fixing some of those. So here in Windows 10 with my multi-mon display, if I want to snap a window, you would expect to be able to just snap it to the edge of the screen. And that works today, except for the edge in between 2 monitors. Well, in Windows 10, we're fixing that. So here I can grab this guy. Actually, I think I just messed up my demo by shaking the window. Let me put these all back. This is an early build. We're used to that kind of thing. Here I can move to the edge, and you'll see the snap preview where PowerPoint's going to go, right on the edge of the window. I'll let go, and voila, I've snapped PowerPoint on the edge of a multiple display. Now I could put Word over here. I can grab my photos, and I'm going to snap them. Watch carefully on the edge. I'm going to snap them right here, and then I'm going to choose Bing up here. And the snap mode now works across multiple displays. So for you power users with multiple screens and you have muscle memory, we're going to make that all work across the board. Now, my last demo showing power users here, I'm going to switch over to this Surface Pro. And I think we should have do we have a camera coming out here to see the Surface Pro? One of the things that power users are getting familiar with is accelerators on a touchpad. And in the past, touchpads on Windows have really been done very differently because OEMs do them. With Windows 10, we're adding support for power users in a touchpad where multiple finger gestures, which all of you power users learn, can make you really efficient. So here I have the same scenario. I'm working on my PowerPoint deck. I've got a bunch of windows. And I've got a touchpad. If I want to make all these windows go away, think of what your hand might do to just say, Windows, go away. I'm going to use 3 fingers and say, go away. Voila, they're gone. Now I went to my desktop. Now I want to get all those windows back. 3 fingers, go up. Voila, they're all back. Super fast, super easy. Similarly, if I've got all these windows there and I want to see my task viewer to go to a different desktop, I move my 3 fingers up and I see my desktops. And then last, think about how you Alt-Tab, except now your hand's on the touchpad. Now we're providing a 3-finger way to go left and right and switch between whatever window you want. I can scrub here. I'll choose Word. I pick Word, and voila, up it comes. Really focusing on smoothing out the power user experience, making all these things work consistently on a wide range of hardware. So that's a quick look at how we're focusing on a user experience that customers will love. And for you, I tried to talk a little bit more about power user-y stuff. You'll see a lot more end-user features coming after the new year when we start talking about the consumer end of all this. But for now, I wanted you to get a sense of all that. The last thing I want to show here is a video that describes how this UI will scale on devices that are 2-in-1s. So can we roll the video? This concept is a design we call our Continuum Ui. And I want you to imagine I'm using a 2-in-1 here. It's in PC mode, so the keyboard and mouse are present. And it works the way I've shown you in the demo. I get a start menu. I get Windows when I launch them. But the key is when I remove the mouse and keyboard, and now my device is in tablet mode, you can confirm as a user that you want to use it in tablet mode, and now a few simple things change. The apps run full screen. When you click on Start, it gives you a full screen view, so you can use your hand to choose from a wider range of things. That's an option that you can have wherever you'd like. When you launch apps, apps know they're running in this touch mode, so their UI can scale up, and that enables things like writing with a pen or even writing with your finger. And then as you task switch, you stay in that tablet mode, optimized for taking advantage of the screen real estate and your hand moving around. Now, when the keyboard and mouse comes back, the system detects this, asks if you want to exit, and then it simply switches, leaving all your running apps the way they were, but now giving you the simple start menu and overlapping windows. So this leverages the things that Windows 7 users already know, start menus and overlapping windows, as well as leverages the things that Windows 8 users already know, a full screen start menu and apps that run full screen, but we do it in a way that's optimized for the input devices that are present on the PC at the time. We've been spending a lot of energy with our OEM partners. We know people are building a huge range of very compelling 2-in-1 devices, and we're excited to make this a focus in Windows 10 because we think that PCs that convert, that are great with mouse and keyboard, but also great with touch added or touch only, getting that right will dramatically make all those people who are productive with Windows way more productive with even more compelling devices in the Windows 10 timeframe. Okay, I'm going to change gear and talk about some of the Windows 10 benefits that are more specific to your IT audience, and probably to many of you as you think about managing PCs out there in an enterprise. The first area I'm going to talk about is how Windows 10 will significantly improve the system protection against modern security threats. And there's 3 ways that we're really trying to do this. The first is we're going to enable you to secure the device and the code that's running on any device you deploy. The second is we want to give you some terrific tools that will satisfy end users and make your data more secure. And then last, we want users to have their identities be secured against all the kinds of identity theft that we're hearing about. First, in Windows 10, you will be able to control the code that's authorized to run on any device. This way of securing the device means that you, by policy, can decide that only signed code runs. That might be code that you sign, could be code signed by the OEM. You could decide that only Microsoft signed code coming through the store is allowed. The point is, this is a way to set PCs up so that it's predictable what code will run and therefore make the device more secure. Second, we're going to do a lot of work to help you and your users effectively protect corporate data. And this is especially important in a world where we see phones, tablets, PC devices sometimes being company bought and handed to users, and sometimes being bring your own device. And we're designing a system that will work well for both those cases, where you authorize apps and user experiences to handle the data you trust, either on a machine that you bought or on a machine that somebody bought themselves and that you want to authorize. So what I'm going to do is walk through the user experience here, because we think our particular innovation is in building this into the platform and working with the key apps, starting with Office, so that users have an incredibly smooth and easy experience, and in practice, that data protection is used and your company data really is secured. So I have an imaginary user here, a woman named Britta, and she has a new Windows 10 PC that her IT department has set up for her. This was a company-bought machine, and when Britta goes into the Start menu, there's actually a few apps that were selected by the company to be authorized for company data. So for example, her email, there's a money management app, there's a Contoso corporate app. Those apps were authorized by IT to be able to access company data, but Britta can run other apps as well, which are not authorized to access company data. This works for apps you write, apps like Office, and works for third-party apps as well. And I want to show you how we're designing the UI so it does what users expect by default, but allows them to do non-default things in a way that you set by policy. So here's Britta. She's typing in the annual report in Word. She's authoring a bunch of stuff, and because this was a company-owned machine, the default policy was set so that if she saves it, it's protected. Now, to illustrate this, I'm going to go into the Save As dialog, where you'll see there's a Save As shown there where Britta can choose either a personal document or a Contoso document. As I said, in this case, the company protection was set by default. So when she saves it, that document is encrypted. And you can see here in the File Explorer, it's shown as protected. And that data will not be able to get into any app that is not authorized by your policy. And you get to decide what those policies are. So here's Britta. Let's say she's trying to be a good employee. She runs Word. Remember, this document is protected. She's going to select some text, open her web browser, and go to Twitter. This text is copied, and when she tries to paste into Twitter, policy comes into play, which you get to set. And in this case, because you chose to authorize Word as a company app, your policy is that this user is not allowed to paste. She gets a warning, pasting content is simply not allowed. So in this case, Britta just can't perform the task that would have leaked company data. But let's pick a more interesting and nuanced example. Let's say that Britta is an employee in the PR department, and sometimes she should paste from company documents into apps that you don't authorize. Well, policy handles that scenario too. Now imagine that the policy is set differently here, so when Britta pastes into Twitter, this time she's given a warning. You're about to paste content from a corporate document to somewhere public. This is okay, but please give a reason, because we're going to put this in the audit log, and now IT has the opportunity to go back and see which people did this and why, and track the movement of company data. This scenario is possible because we're building the feature right into the native platform. So all of you can use whatever management system you want to authorize these apps, and you can work with ISVs or write your own apps that you also decide to trust. And because the platform is the same across devices, that benefit not only works on the PC, but it'll work on the phone and other devices as well. Here's OneNote. It's a company app. It's authorized. So when this user selects some text, copies, and goes into another app, in this case, we're choosing Word as an unauthorized app, your decision. Then when the user goes into Word here and tries to paste on the phone, they also get a message saying pasting is not allowed. Again, set by you as policy, at your discretion to choose the apps, at your discretion to set the policy, and the system participates in making sure your data stays safe, thank you, in a way that users will really understand. Next, I want to talk about how we're going to protect user identity. And today, if you think about people's passwords being on servers and hackers getting into company databases and all the press around this, we think there's work we can and will do in the system to really greatly improve that. And what I'm going to do actually is switch over here to another demo. Today, you can do things like set up two-factor authentication with things like smart cards, but doing that can be a little bit cumbersome to deploy. What we're going to do in the platform is enable biometrics like fingerprint authorization to be a natural part of the system sign-in, but we're also going to enable two-factor authentication in a way that's much less expensive and easier for you to deploy and way more user-friendly. So the example I want to give here is a real demo. You can see I've got my Joe Belfiore account right there on the left. I'm signing into Contoso. This is a domain-joined machine. When I touch that tile, you can see there I am, Joe Belfiore. But for me to sign in, instead of typing a password into the PC, which then goes to Active Directory, stored on the network, for me to sign in, instead, two-factor authentication is set up with my phone and a PIN on the phone as a second factor. So here, I just sign in with my phone. Now, I want you to watch. I'm going to click to sign in with your phone, and my phone will magically, via Bluetooth, recognize this, pop up. I didn't have to find an app or choose a tile. It's prompting me to use the virtual smart card, the certificate deployed to my phone. For demo purposes, I'm using the ultra-secure PIN 1234567 I'll choose OK, and voila, you'll see there my PC is signed in. So it's convenient for the end user. It's inexpensive for you as an IT manager because you're not dealing with a complex deployment. And there was no password stored in some server on the Active Directory that's susceptible to being stolen or copied or something. The PIN was on my phone. It's a more secure system. It's user-friendly and easy and inexpensive for you to deploy. Now, the last area I want to talk about is how we're going to enable Windows 10 to be managed by you, and sometimes by us, but within your control, managed for continuous innovation. We're going to give you more management choice and flexibility in how to manage all your devices. We're going to improve the App Store so that you can use the App Store infrastructure to deploy your own apps or apps that you license. And we're going to enable the deployment of Windows 10 itself through in-place upgrades and dynamic provisioning so that it's much simpler and easier for you to get out to your users. In terms of management choices, Windows 10 devices, from phones to tablets to PCs, will be manageable either by group policy or via MDM. You can use whatever MDM system you'd like to manage BYOD devices. You can use group policy to manage devices. It's your choice, and we're going to make the system flexible enough to do either of those things. That's the first thing. Second, we're going to make it much more flexible for you to use the App Store infrastructure to deploy apps either that you write yourself using the new platform or to deploy apps that you license from third parties. We're adding volume licensing support to the store with license reclaim and reuse, so you can authorize which users get the apps. We're going to enable sign-in on Windows 10 to work with Azure Active Directory accounts as an option. No MSA required to use the store and the store infrastructure. This is probably the #1 feedback that we've heard from all of you on Windows 8, and we're addressing it. And with those new features in the store, you can effectively use our store infrastructure to set up your own company store, manage licenses that you get from third parties or apps you write yourself across that wide range of devices. And now the last thing I want to show and talk about is how Windows 10 will let you deploy systems in a way that will be more cost-effective, simpler for you, and more friendly for end users. This is essentially our focus on ending the era of wipe and reload. In Windows 10, we're going to enable full in-place upgrade from Windows 7 SP1 or later. And we're going to enable dynamic identity-based configuration that you set up in your infrastructure so that a user can get a brand new PC and then go through the out-of-box experience, the OEM out-of-box experience, and have your policy and app set up. And I'm going to wrap up with a walkthrough of how that looks. I want you to imagine we have a corporate user named Heidi. And maybe she's in some remote subsidiary, and you have her set up with Azure Active Directory or Active Directory, and you could tell Heidi, hey, go choose the laptop you want to buy the laptop, and when you run through the laptop out-of-box experience, because we're paying for it, simply choose My Organization Owns It. Heidi will choose Next. Part of the sign-up, part of the out-of-box experience is a sign-in. In this case, Heidi's going to type her Contoso credential. The system's going to recognize, oh, this is a corporate-managed machine. Your branding is shown, and your policy is already coming into play here because you're specifying that these users need to sign in with two-factor authentication. So the system recognizes this, prompts Heidi to enter a verification code, which you set up to be texted to her phone. So she types that in, and then when she chooses sign in, that PC will get enrolled with your organization. All the policy comes down from the cloud. The apps that you've licensed and put in the store and want pre-installed will all come down, and voila, when Heidi signs in, she gets a start menu that's customized for her with the policies set, with the corporate data protection we already talked about, with the user credential system that we already talked about, all set up in a way that you never even had to touch the PC in order for those benefits to be given to your user. And when Heidi runs apps, whether they're store apps like this Contoso app, or when she visits apps on the web that you authorize, single sign-in comes into play so that her user identity and credentials are available to apps as well, and she gets a terrific, seamless experience putting together everything I showed. So that's my quick Windows 10 look. I want to encourage all of you, if you're not already, to go install our preview builds. You can get the Pro Edition at preview.windows.com or the Enterprise Edition at the URL you see on TechNet. Today, the difference between those is the same as it is on Windows 8. Either is fine to try, and you can sign up, get all of our flighting options, and see the features I showed. Thanks very much, and we look forward to working with all of you more on Windows 10.